welcome to the deep dive. We know you don't have time to wade through hundreds of pages of GMC guidance, so we're doing the heavy lifting for you.
We certainly are.
Our mission today is to take the really dense but absolutely vital guidance on decision-making and consent and turn it into the high-impact knowledge you need for the MSRA SJT.
And this is so fundamental. The exam hits this topic hard because, the sources call consent the fundamental legal and ethical principle.
So if you're shaky on this,
then everything else can fall apart. This isn't just theory. It's about your core professional duty in, well, every single patient interaction.
Okay, so we've synthesized notes from a GP educator, and we're focusing on memory hooks, clarity, and the exact steps you as a junior doctor need to take. Let's just jump in with a scenario.
I'll do it.
So imagine you're consenting a patient for a pretty straightforward procedure. You start explaining, and the patient stops you. They look stressed and say, "Doctor, look, I trust you completely. I am going ahead. Please, just don't tell me about the nasty complications. Where do I sign?"
Oh, that's a classic.
It's a real tension, isn't it? The patient is competent, and they're trying to assert their autonomy by saying, "I don't want to know." So what do? Do you just stop talking and proceed?
That's the perfect storm. And here's the core truth you have to carry into the exam with you. For decision-making and consent, the SJT will always, always prioritize meaningful dialogue and properly informed autonomy.
So consent isn't just about them saying yes.
Not at all. It requires you to ensure they've been given and understood the fundamental information. So if they try to shortcut that process, your duty is to gently, bring them back to that necessary conversation.
Okay, so why is that dialogue so critical? What are the actual stakes here?
The stakes are enormous. The GMC uses the word must. You have an overriding duty to have consent before you do anything. Clinically, serious harm can happen if patients aren't listened to.
And for the exam?
For the exam, they love to test this balance between, say, time pressure and the patient's absolute right to information. The highest scoring answer will always show you prioritizing that dialogue, even if it causes a little bit of a delay.
Right. So the guidance is built on these 7 principles. Where should we focus?
Okay, let's cut to the chase. For the exam, focus on just a few high-yield ones. Principles 2 and 3 are basically a package deal. They say decision-making is an ongoing process. It's a two-way street.
Not a one-off event.
Exactly. It's not about signing a form. It's about listening and providing all the support they need. An interpreter, written info, just giving them time to make sure they get it. If you see an answer that's just, "get the form signed," it's almost certainly wrong.
And what about tailoring the information? The standard risks for a procedure might not be the most important thing to this particular person.
You've hit on principle 4. You must try to find out what matters to the patient.
So their values, their fears.
All of it. What's their quality of life like? What are they worried about? Without asking that first, you can't have a meaningful discussion about risks and benefits.
Okay, that leads us straight into probably the trickiest part of this, capacity. How do the sources tell us to handle that?
Principle 5 is absolutely crystal clear on this. You must start from the presumption of capacity for every single adult.
And capacity is specific, right?
It's decision-specific and time-specific, yes. And crucially, the guidance says you cannot assume someone lacks capacity just because they make a choice you think is unwise. That's a huge exam trap.
So a formal assessment is only for when there are clear signs they can't consent.
Exactly. And that assessment is that 4-part legal test. Can they understand the information, retain it, use it to weigh their options, and then communicate their decision back to you?
And if they fail on any of those?
Then you move to Principle 6.
Yeah.
And that says any treatment for a patient who lacks capacity has to be of overall benefit to them, and you must consult with people close to them.
Okay, those are the rules. So let's translate that into action. What's the perfect, high-scoring consultation framework, start to finish?
Right. Let's break it down into 5 clear steps. If you get a consent question, just mentally run through this checklist.
Okay, step 1.
Step 1, preparation or identify. You start by finding out what matters to the patient. Your first few sentences should be questions, not statements.
Step 2.
Information. Share the objective facts. Diagnosis, prognosis, your recommendation, and why. And, this is key, you must present all reasonable options.
Even the ones you think are a bad idea.
Yes, including the option to do nothing at all. You have to explain why you think they're a bad idea, but the patient needs to know what their choices are. Your job is to guide, not to dictate.
Got it. Step 3.
Risk discussion. This is where you tailor everything. You have to talk about 3 categories of risk. 1, risks anyone would want to know. 2, risks the patient themselves thinks are significant, which you found out in step 1.
And the third.
And 3, any risk of serious harm, however unlikely it is. That last one comes up all the time in the SJT.
Right. What's step 4?
Verification. You have to check they've understood. Ask open-ended questions. So just to check we're on the same page, could you tell me what you understand the main risks are? And give them time. Don't rush them.
And finally, step 5.
Documentation and review. You need to record the details of the discussion, not just the signature, and you have to set up a plan to review the decision, especially if their condition changes.
That structure is so helpful. Let's try and make it stick with a mnemonic. How about CHOICE?
CHOICE. I like that. It works perfectly.
So C is for?
C is for context. What matters to this patient
H
is for harms. The risks tailored and including any risk of serious harm.
O.
O is for options. All the reasonable ones, including doing nothing.
I.
I for information.
Think objective fact.
C is for check. Check their understanding.
E.
E is for explain. Explain your recommendation, but without any pressure.
So the visual cue here is to see it as a two-way street dialogue.
Absolutely. Think CHOICE, not a piece of paper.
Okay, let's shift to the common exam patterns. How do they test this in those tricky SJT scenarios?
They love to repeat a few key setups.
So pattern 1 is our opening scenario, the patient who refuses the details.
Exactly. What's being tested is the limit of autonomy. The best action is to gently explain that they must understand the fundamental bits, like the risk of serious harm before you can proceed. You document their refusal of more detail, but you can't proceed on zero information.
Okay. Pattern 2. The patient asks for a treatment that isn't clinically indicated.
This is all about balancing their autonomy with your professional judgment.
So the best action.
You explore their reasons respectfully, but if you conclude the treatment won't help them or could harm them, you must refuse to provide it. You explain why, and you tell them they have a right to a second opinion. You never provide treatment you think is inappropriate.
Makes sense. What about pattern 3, delegating consent? A junior doctor is often asked to do this.
This tests responsibility. Even if you delegate the task, the ultimate responsibility stays with the senior doctor who delegated.
So, as the senior doctor,
You have to be sure the person you're delegating to is competent. And you must check in with the patient yourself before the procedure to confirm they've got the info and have realistic expectations.
and the final pattern, emergency or lack of capacity.
Right. This tests necessary action. The best action is to provide only the treatment that's immediately necessary to save their life or prevent serious harm.
And it has to be the...
The least restrictive option possible. And as soon as they regain capacity, you immediately tell them what you did and why.
So we know the good answers. Let's talk about the bad ones. What are the common traps that will lose you marks instantly?
Oh, the exam is full of these. They often look like the easy or even the kind option, but they're professionally wrong.
Okay, trap number 1.
Assuming lack of capacity. This is a huge one. You never, ever assume someone lacks capacity because they make a decision you think is unwise or because of their age or a disability. You must do the formal 4-part assessment first,
Trap 2.
withholding information to stop them getting upset.
That seems like a caring thing to do on the surface.
It does, but it's paternalistic and wrong. The only time you can withhold information is if giving it would cause them serious harm. And that means, a catastrophic psychological breakdown, not just them getting upset or refusing treatment. It's an extremely high bar.
So that's a very rare exception.
Very rare. Almost never the right answer in an SJT.
What's trap 3?
Relying on the consent form. We've touched on this. The form is not a substitute for the dialogue. It's a record of it, nothing more.
And the last big trap.
Disregarding the patient's context, this goes back to principle 4. Failing to ask what matters to them and then failing to tailor the risk discussion is a major failure.
Okay, let's wrap this up with 3 key takeaways for everyone to remember heading into the exam.
Number 1, the dialogue must be tailored. You find out what matters to the patient first, and then you share the information, including any risk of serious harm, however unlikely.
Number 2.
Capacity is presumed, always. Don't confuse an unwise decision with a lack of capacity. You must follow the formal test. Understand, retain, use, and communicate.
And final takeaway.
Number 3, record the details of the discussion, not just the signature. And always have a clear plan to review the decision because consent isn't static, it can change.
That is a fantastic structured overview. Thank you for sharing your sources and letting us dive into them.
My pleasure. And maybe one final thought to reflect on. based on the sources.
Go for it.
Even when the law lets you treat a patient without their consent, like under the Mental Health Act, the GMC guidance still says you have to take a patient-centered approach. You should always aim for the least restrictive option and support their dignity. So the question to reflect on is, how can you ensure real patient involvement when the law seems to take their choice away?
That is something to mull over. Apply that CHOICE framework, watch out for those traps, and you'll be on your way. Until the next deep dive, good luck with your revision.